The silent treatment. The silence was the first sign something was wrong. Captain. Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath them. The blue marble looked peaceful, unchanged, but everything else had shifted in ways that made her stomach clench with dread. For 3 weeks now, the stars had stopped talking back. No alien transmissions, no trade negotiations, no diplomatic channels, nothing. Elena pressed her palm against the cold viewport and tried to remember the last time she had felt truly afraid. It was probably during the Void War 15 years ago, when humanity had fought alongside the Colari against the machine plague that nearly consumed half the galaxy. She had been young then, barely 30, commanding her first deep space vessel. The Colari had saved her ship when the machines overwhelmed her defenses. They had been allies ever since or so she thought. Captain Vasquez. The voice belonged to Commander Jake Morrison, her second-in-command and one of the few people she trusted completely. His face was grim as he approached, carrying a datapad that seemed to weigh more than it should. "Tell me you found something," Elena said without. Turning around, Jake hesitated. In all their years serving together, Elena had never heard him hesitate. "We did. You're not going to like it." Elena finally turned to face him. Jake's weathered features carried the kind of exhaustion that came from too many sleepless nights and too many impossible questions. She had been pushing her team hard since the communication blackout began, trying to find answers in a universe that had suddenly gone deaf. "Show me." Jake activated the datapad, and a holographic display materialized between them. Star charts, communication logs, encrypted transmissions. Elena recognized some of it from her years exploring the outer reaches, but other elements were completely foreign. "We managed to crack one of the old emergency frequencies," Jake explained. "The kind used for galactic-wide alerts. What we found was a recording from the Galactic Council chambers, dated 3 weeks and 2 days ago." Elena's blood chilled. The day before the silence began. Exactly. Jake manipulated the display, zooming in on a particular data stream. The translation isn't perfect, but the meaning is clear enough. The hologram shifted, displaying text in multiple languages, both human and alien scripts scrolling side by side. Elena read the words twice before their meaning truly sank in. Motion. To quarantine the Sol system and all human-controlled territories. Species designation. Uncontainable threat to galactic stability. Vote. 847 in favor, 23 opposed, 45 abstentions. Motion carried. Enforcement begins immediately. Elena stared at the words until they blurred. Quarantine. "They cut us off," Jake said quietly. "Not a communication failure. Not a technical glitch. They voted to lock us out. Why?" Elena's voice came out as a whisper. "What did we do?" Jake scrolled through more data. "Near as we can tell, it started with the breakthrough in quantum engineering last year. When we developed instant matter transmission, it spooked some of the older species. Then came the consciousness transfer technology, the gravity manipulation systems, the bioenhancement programs." Elena remembered each development. Humanity had been on an unprecedented innovation streak, solving problems that had puzzled Galactic civilization for millennia. She had been proud of their progress, proud of how quickly humans adapted and evolved. They were afraid of us, she realized. More than afraid. According to the intercepts we managed to decode, several council members used the word plague to describe human expansion. They compared us to a virus, spreading too fast, changing too much, disrupting the established order. Elena felt anger, building in her chest, hot and familiar. And the Kalari? Our allies? Jake's expression darkened further. They sponsored the motion. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. She had fought beside the Kalari. She had saved their colony ships. She had called Ambassador Zithric a friend, had shared meals with him, had trusted him with Earth's secrets. They used our trust against us, Jake continued. Every piece of intelligence we shared, every weakness we revealed, every innovation we developed in partnership with them. They gave it all to the Council as evidence of why we needed to be contained. Elena closed her eyes and tried to process the betrayal. The Kalari had been Earth's first and strongest allies. Their crystalline cities had welcomed human visitors. Their children learned human languages in school. Their scientists worked alongside human researchers, and they had sold humanity out. How long before the rest of the government knows? Elena asked. They already do. Emergency session was called 6 hours ago. President Sean is coordinating with the military leadership and the Science Council. Elena opened her eyes. And there, activating the Prometheus Protocol. Elena felt the deck seem to shift beneath her feet. The Prometheus Protocol was a name whispered in the darkest corners of military intelligence, a project so classified that even she, with her high-level security clearance, knew only fragments of the truth. Jake, tell me they're not serious. Dead serious. Director Harrison is already en route to the facility. They want you there too. Elena had heard stories about Director Harrison, the man who oversaw Earth's most sensitive defense projects. He was brilliant, ruthless, and completely devoted to humanity's survival. If Harrison was involved, the situation was worse than she had feared. What exactly is the Prometheus Protocol? Jake glanced around the observation deck, making sure they were alone. From what I understand, it's a last resort contingency. Something developed during the Void War, but never deployed. The official designation is Project Titan. A weapon? More than that. A person. Someone who volunteered for experimental enhancement. Procedures. Consciousness transfer. Biomechanical integration. AI augmentation. They turned a human being into something else. Something designed to fight wars that conventional forces couldn't win. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's recycled air. Who? That's classified above my level. But Captain, if they're willing to wake up whatever they created, things are about to get very serious very fast. Elena looked. Back at Earth, spinning peacefully in the void. Soon, that peace would be shattered. The galaxy had tried to cage humanity, tried to contain them out of fear. They were about to learn that fear had been justified. How long do we have? Transport leaves in 2 hours. Harrison wants to brief you personally before the activation. Elena nodded, already mentally preparing for what was coming. The galaxy had made its choice. Now humanity would make theirs. As she left the observation deck, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking toward a line that, once crossed, would change everything. The stars had gone silent, but soon they would hear humanity's voice again. And this time, it would be impossible to ignore. The transport to the classified facility took Elena through the dark side of the moon, past installations she had never seen and didn't want to think about too closely. Director Harrison met her at the airlock, a tall man with silver hair and eyes that seemed to see too much asterisk. Captain Vasquez, thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? Harrison smiled without humor. There's always a choice. The question is whether you can live with the consequences of not making it. He led her through corridors that felt more like a tomb than a research facility. The walls were lined with blast-resistant composite, the kind used in bunkers designed to survive planetary bombardment. Whatever was housed here, they had built it to last. How much do you know about the Void War? Harrison asked as they walked. I fought in it, lost friends in it, helped end it. But do you know how we really won? Elena frowned. Combined human and Kalari forces, coordinated strikes, superior tactics. That's the official story. The truth is more complicated. Harrison stopped in front of a massive vault door, marked with warning symbols in a dozen languages. We were losing, Captain. Badly. The machines were adapting faster than we could counter them. Our casualty rates were unsustainable. He placed his palm on a scanner, and the vault door began to cycle open with a deep grinding of heavy machinery. So, we took a volunteer, a young man named Marcus Chun, and we did things to him that violated every ethical guideline humanity had ever established. We gave him AI processing power, enhanced his physical capabilities beyond human limits, and then we let him loose on the machine plague. The door finished opening, revealing a chamber filled with monitoring equipment, cryogenic systems, and in the center, a single stasis pod glowing with soft blue light. He won the war for us, Harrison continued, single-handedly. Then we put him to sleep and hoped we'd never need him again. Elena approached the stasis pod. Through the transparent aluminum, she could see a figure that looked human, but somehow wasn't. The face was peaceful, but even in sleep, there was something unsettling about the perfect stillness, the complete absence of any movement that suggested breathing. Marcus Chun, she whispered, not anymore. When he wakes up, he'll be Titan, the perfect fusion of human consciousness, artificial intelligence, and biomechanical enhancement. He's loyal to Earth and humanity above all else. He's also probably the most dangerous individual who has ever existed. Elena studied the readings on the monitoring equipment. Heart rate, brain activity, system status. All showed signs of life, but not human life. Something else, and you want to wake him up. I want to give humanity a chance to survive what's coming. The galaxy thought they could contain us, isolate us, make us disappear quietly. They're about to learn that humanity doesn't disappear. We adapt, we overcome, and when necessary, we unleash hell. Harrison moved to a control console and began entering activation sequences. The choice is yours, Captain. We can wake him up and show the galaxy what happens when you try to cage a species that refuses to be caged. Or we can accept our quarantine and slowly fade into irrelevance. Elena looked at the stasis pod, at the sleeping figure who had once been human and was now something more. Something created for war, designed for victory at any cost. The galaxy had betrayed Earth's trust. They had voted to erase humanity from the stars. They thought fear justified their actions. Maybe it was time to prove them right. Wake him up. The god of war awakens. The first thing Marcus remembered was dying. The memory hit him like a physical blow as consciousness returned. The machine plague had cornered him on Kepler 442b. His enhanced body failing as nanoscale destroyers ate through his biomechanical systems. He remembered the pain, the acceptance, the final transmission to Earth. Command, mission accomplished. Tell my sister I kept my promise. But he wasn't dead. He was awake, lying in a chamber filled with the hum of advanced technology, breathing air that tasted of ozone and metal. His body felt different, stronger, more integrated. The AI components of his consciousness were clearer now, processing information at speeds that made his pre-enhancement state seem sluggish. Welcome back, Titan. Marcus turned his head toward the voice and saw a man in a military uniform he didn't recognize. The insignia indicated high rank, possibly intelligence division. Beside him stood a woman with the bearing of a combat veteran, her eyes measuring him with professional assessment. How long? Marcus asked. His voice sounded different, resonating, with harmonics that hadn't been there before. 15 years, the man replied. I'm Director Harrison. This is Captain Elena Vasquez. And Earth needs you again. Marcus sat up slowly, testing his systems. Everything functioned perfectly, better than before. The stasis had somehow allowed for additional integration, evolution of the hybrid consciousness he had become. He could feel the AI components of his mind, cataloging threats, analyzing the room, preparing contingency responses. The Void War ended, he stated. It wasn't a question. His enhanced senses could detect the absence of emergency pheromones in the air. The relaxed posture of the personnel around him. Peace, but fragile peace. Yes, thanks to you, Elena said. But we have a new problem. Marcus accessed local networks automatically, downloading current events, political summaries, galactic status reports. The information flowed through his consciousness in seconds, painting a picture that made his hybrid nature surge with protective anger. Quarantine, he said. They caged us. The Galactic Council voted to isolate Earth 3 weeks ago, Harrison explained. Complete communication blackout, trade embargo, military enforcement. They claim we're too dangerous to remain integrated with galactic civilization. Marcus processed this information against his core programming. Threat to Earth. Threat to humanity. Threat requiring response. Assessment. Accurate, he said. Humans are dangerous. Question. Why do you need me? Elena stepped forward. Because we're not going to accept the cage. We're going to break it. Marcus studied her with enhanced perception, reading micro-expressions, stress hormones, determination markers. This woman was a warrior, someone who understood the cost of victory and was willing to pay it. Current military assets insufficient. For breaking galactic quarantine, Marcus stated. Probability of conventional success, less than 12%. Which is why we woke you up, Harrison said. We need someone who can operate beyond conventional parameters. Someone who can strike at targets that regular forces can't reach. Marcus stood, testing his motor functions. The biomechanical integration was seamless now, his human consciousness fully merged with AI processing and enhanced physical capabilities. He was no longer Marcus Chun, young volunteer from the Void War. He was Titan, humanity's perfect weapon. Primary objective? Break the quarantine, Elena said. Show the galaxy that humanity won't be contained. Secondary objectives? Harrison activated a holographic display showing galactic infrastructure maps. The quarantine is maintained by a network of enforcement stations positioned around the Sol system. 12 platforms with interdiction fields that prevent faster-than-light travel. Destroy those, and we can break out. Marcus analyzed the display. Tactical subroutines calculating approach vectors. Defensive capabilities. Optimal strike patterns. The enforcement stations were heavily armed, but their design showed typical galactic thinking. Protection against conventional fleets, not against a single enhanced infiltrator. Time required, 72 hours, Marcus announced. Casualty estimate, minimal if civilian evacuation protocols observed. You can destroy all 12 stations in 3 days? Elena asked. Affirmative. Stations designed to repel fleet actions. Not optimized for single-target infiltration by enhanced human-AI hybrid. Harrison smiled grimly. The galaxy forgot what humans are capable of when we stop playing by their rules. Marcus moved to the chamber's equipment lockers, where his gear waited. The biosuit was new, incorporating advances developed during his stasis. Weapon systems he didn't recognize, but his AI components immediately understood. Enhanced mobility gear that would let him move between targets without detection. Question, Marcus said as he began suiting up. Rules of engagement? Elena and Harrison exchanged glances. What do you mean? Galactic quarantine enforced by multiple species. Some willing participants, some coerced. Some former allies, some traditional enemies. How much force authorized? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Marcus could see the conflict in their faces, the human tendency toward mercy, warring with the necessity of survival. Whatever it takes, Elena said finally. They made their choice when they voted to cage us. Marcus nodded and sealed his biosuit. Understood. Beginning mission deployment in 30 minutes. The first enforcement station died without ever knowing he was there. Marcus infiltrated the structure through maintenance conduits, bypassed security systems, designed to stop ships rather than individuals, and planted charges in the power core. He was already moving toward the second target when the first station vanished in a brief star. The galaxy's reaction was immediate. Emergency broadcasts flooded communication channels. Military units scrambled to investigate. Council representatives demanded explanations, but Marcus was already at the second station. His enhanced capabilities let him move through space like a living torpedo, biosuit protecting him from the vacuum, while propulsion systems carried him between targets faster than defenders could react. The second station's crew managed to send a distress signal before he reached them. It didn't matter. By the time help arrived, the station was debris. Station 3 tried to run. Marcus caught it anyway. Station 4 opened fire on anything that moved, their panic making them shoot at shadows. Marcus let them waste their ammunition before moving in dot by the 6th station. They knew they were hunting something unprecedented. Combined patrols, overlapping sensor nets, coordinated defensive positions. Marcus analyzed their tactics, found the flaws, and exploited them with mechanical precision. Station 7's crew surrendered before he reached them. Marcus planted the charges anyway. Surrender was not the same as withdrawal. The galaxy began to take notice. Emergency council sessions. Military mobilizations. Species that had voted for quarantine suddenly questioning their decision. Marcus didn't care about their fear. Fear was a tool, useful for achieving objectives, but irrelevant to his core mission. He had work to finish. Station 8 fell to sabotage. From within, Marcus had infiltrated their computer systems and convinced the automated defenses that the crew were intruders. Station 9 tried to call for reinforcement from the Calari fleet. Marcus intercepted the transmission and sent a different message instead, one that led the reinforcements into an asteroid field, where they became tangled in their own formation. Station 10 fought back effectively, their commander apparently understanding what they faced. Marcus respected competent enemies. He still destroyed them, but he made it quick. Station 11 was the most heavily defended, surrounded by patrol craft and protected by overlapping shield systems. Marcus approached it differently, appearing to retreat after his first probe was detected. When the defenders relaxed their guard, assuming they had driven him off, he returned through an approach vector they hadn't considered. The 12th and final station broadcast a message to Earth as Marcus moved in for the kill. The commander, a Calari officer named Zethric, transmitted on all frequencies. Earth vessel, identify yourself. This quarantine is for the good of all species, including your own. Humanity's rapid advancement threatens the stability of galactic civilization. Accept containment, and we can negotiate terms. Marcus paused at the station's outer hull, considering the message. His human consciousness felt old anger stirring. This was the species that had fought beside humanity, that had called themselves allies while planning betrayal. He opened a communication channel. This is Titan, representing Earth's response to galactic quarantine, he transmitted. Message. Begins. You tried to cage us. Error in judgment. Humans do not accept cages. Recommend immediate withdrawal of all enforcement assets from Sol System. Alternative. Face consequences of attempting to contain an uncontainable species. Message ends.Zethric's response came quickly. Titan, we know what you are. A weapon. Created in violation of galactic law. Surrender now, and Earth's punishment will be limited. Marcus considered this for exactly 0.003 seconds. Counter-offer. Withdraw now, and your species will survive what comes next. He breached the station's hull, and began moving toward the command center. Kalari defenders tried to stop him, their crystal-based weapons ineffective against his enhanced physiology and biosuit protection. Marcus incapacitated them without killing when possible, but he didn't slow down. He found Zethric in the command center, a tall crystalline being whose species communicated partially through color changes in their transparent skin. Right now, Zethric was showing patterns Marcus's AI components identified as fear mixed with desperate determination. "You don't understand," Zethric said as Marcus entered. "Humanity's advancement rate is unprecedented. If left unchecked, you will dominate the galaxy within a century. Other species will become obsolete." Marcus studied the Kalari commander with enhanced perception. Vital signs indicated sincerity. Zethric genuinely believed the quarantine was necessary. "Incorrect," Marcus replied. "Humans desire cooperation, not domination. Quarantine unnecessary. Betrayal of trust, unacceptable. We tried cooperation. Your species learns too quickly, adapts too fast. You made us afraid." Marcus moved closer, his enhanced size making him tower over the Kalari. "Fear does not justify betrayal. Friendship does not justify imprisonment. Choice: withdraw quarantine or face expansion of countermeasures."Zethric's skin patterns shifted to what Marcus identified as resignation. "You'll destroy us all." Negative. "We'll destroy obstacles to human freedom. We'll defend Earth against containment. We'll ensure galaxy remembers. Caging humanity is not possible." Marcus placed the final charges and activated the timer. As he prepared to leave, Zethric made one last attempt. "Wait, I can call off the quarantine. Convince the council to reverse their decision." Marcus paused. Offer noted. Response: too late. Galaxy chose to treat humanity as threat. Now humanity responds as threat. Natural consequence. The final enforcement station died in silent fire, its destruction visible from Earth as a new star in the night sky. The quarantine was broken. Humanity was free, but Marcus's mission was far from over. The galaxy had shown its true face, and Earth would need to respond accordingly. They had awakened their perfect weapon, and now that weapon would ensure humanity never faced such betrayal again. The stars were silent no longer. Earth was speaking, and its voice was the sound of breaking chains. Asterisk.